What's up, everybody? Episode 10 of the Sports Spectre podcast, double digits. We got our boy Kyle on here. Thanksgiving weekend ended. Alabama came with a big dub. Florida, not so much. How you guys doing? What's going on?
Dude, I am excited. Double digits, baby, dude. We are at the decade mark. What a day it is. First and foremost, I just want to acknowledge that. Still feels like yesterday we were thinking about this podcast, how to set it up, and then we just decided, fuck it, let's just get some mics in. We're just going to rip it and figure it out. Big day also because it is our first in-person podcast. So to everyone listening, I'm sure you've seen in the past, we are typically doing this virtually. So to have this in person with now our third guest ever, the Kyle Mims, a local legend actually in the South Florida community. Fun fact, him and I actually are both Gators. So we are fighting just intense depression right now. Yeah, it's pretty bad. We might put like a GoFundMe after this. Maybe, guys help us out because we're not doing too great. Our season is over. But we have a lot to talk about. I'm really, really, really excited for this episode. We just have a full slate of things. So with that being said, I want to introduce our premier guest, Kyle Mims. So Kyle, I want to just give you a big chance. Let's clap it up for our boy. Okay. A lot of us are saying that we're doing a really good community service, just because I do like to think that sometimes gingers are a bit of, repressed minority. So I think we're kind of doing a service having you. Yeah. For sure. For sure. So shout out to the gingers. We obviously love gingers.
We're getting our diversity checklist off.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. We are, as you can see, incredibly inclusive here. But Kyle, let's get a little background about you. So everyone calls you the law demon.
The law demon, yeah.
Around town. So give us a little bit of insight, I guess, about yourself, about your background in the law game, baby. I mean, you basically put up triple doubles in court, is what I hear.
Yeah, man. Well, the demon part obviously comes from the ginger part, right? Because it's one of the same. So in the law part, I mean, I guess I just learned some law and became a ginger. So that's how.
It's basically, yeah, I mean, you make it look easy out there. And basically the highlight reel that I don't think anyone, in professional law leagues, if that's what we're allowed to call it, has beat you at this stat. But to date, you have passed the bar in the shortest amount of time studying. I believe the official record is 12 days. You won't actually give an official number?
Yeah, it was actually 11 days, so put some respect on my name.
11 days.
Yeah, 11 days, and like 2 of them, were kind of like we went out and stuff as well, so we'll say 9.5.
Yeah, so like in real, so it's kind of like if we were looking like a 40-yard dash time, like, unofficial versus official time, like unofficial, like 12 days, 11 days, but it's more realistic to say officially it's closer, trending towards the 9 days.
Yeah, I'm essentially like Usain Bolt in that reference.
That is what I've heard.
Not to brag.
Yeah, a lot of people in the law league, local lawyers, they say, they want you investigated, like they're jealous of your raw talent. I mean,
there's been a lot of accusations of PEDs.
I believe it.
They're trying to do some investigations. We'll see how that goes. So far so good. The committee hasn't come up yet. So.
Oh, dude. I mean, I'm a big believer myself. I doubt that they're gonna find any dirt. I mean, you're just like naturally gifted at this, dude. Again, if law were a professional sport, you'd be up there like Mount Rushmore of lawyers. You probably have the guy from like To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh, that's a good one.
That is a good one. And then, you, I don't know enough lawyers to give like
Hamilton's a good one.
He was
Alexander Hamilton.
He was also a pretty good lawyer. Well, I honestly didn't think we were going to start the pod today talking about our Mount Rushmore of lawyers, but that is the official take so far. So we got Kyle, we got the guy from To Kill a Mockingbird, Alexander Hamilton. I mean, do we have like 2 other ones that we can add on there that we can think of?
We can just put me 2 more times.
Yeah, just you having passed the bar as quickly as you did. Because it is incredible. I know people that they'll literally study for like months at a time, and they won't pass it. And the fact that you did it in a week and a half, which probably makes me think that most of those people just like psych themselves out and they just probably suck as well.
That was also while watching my dog, Stormy. So you were taking care of a child.
Yeah, that is. I was.
Yeah.
I don't know if I took very good care of her. I was a little focused at the time.
Oh, shit. Dude,
we're getting that. No, actually, Storm is probably the only person I talked to, which I've now realized she's not a person.
She's a person.
Like 9.5 days.
She is.
Yeah, it'd be like somewhat Raymond and then like lots of Stormy. I'm like, hey, Storm, what's up? How you doing? And I don't think she talks back.
Oh, dude. Well, that's incredible, man. Again, I brag to everyone that every time I introduce you, I'm just like, "What's up? This is my friend Kyle. Yes, he is a ginger. Yes, we're still debating whether the soul is there or not. We're kind of trending towards no lately. And yes, he did pass the bar. I'm going to tell everyone now, 9 days. And then the more drinks I have, that number tends to get lower. Eventually, it's just going to be like, Kyle didn't study for the bar. He just kind of went in there.
I don't think I did. Yeah, I didn't go to law school. I just showed up one day and just did it.
Dude, you're the equivalent of like how Kobe went from high school to the league. Like that's you. Like,
yeah, I mean maybe more like yeah, just better than that. I don't know. I'm better than Kobe.
Dude, generational. Like people, there's going to be like lawyers litigating about this and like talking about this performance. Like people talk about like Game 6, LeBron, or like Curry in the playoffs, and then it's like also Kyle studying for the bar. Like same topic of conversation.
We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see.
We might have to make that Mount Rushmore three Kyles to 5. It's 5, right?
Yeah, it is. It is 5.
I think this is a good moment to say that nothing that the law demon says in this episode is legal advice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
I made all this up. I'm not a lawyer. None of this is legal advice. Just legal information. Take it as you will. Yeah. Don't put my last name.
Yeah, it like educated legal hypothesis that if you choose to uptake, like we take absolutely no responsibility. So that's on you. Like full disclosure. I mean, we've said it on the pod before. Like some of our crazy takes were like, this is not legal advice. This is not financial advice. This is not betting advice. Again, we're just two dudes with laptops that we're just saying random takes. And if you choose to take that, and it doesn't hit, that's on you. But yes, full disclosure, not legal advice. So the reason we're talking about litigation so much is it is one of our main topics for today. But before we do get into it, I do want to let Kyle introduce himself a little bit better because he's not just a law demon. He is also a renowned South Florida local. So Kyle, I believe it is accurate. You grew up in South Florida. You've been here all your life. Obviously, you attended UF as well. You're just big Florida person. But I mean, I would say that even compared to myself and most of our group of friends, like you're a bigger South Florida sports fans in that small circle. So I'm very curious as like a big native, do you have any memory in South Florida sports, whether it's the Dolphins, the Heat, the Panthers, anyone that really stands out to you?
All right, so Game 6 was the first thing that came to mind. When I say Game 6, LeBron.
Against the
Right
Celtics. Yeah.
You know what we're talking about.
We all know the meme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was a good one. And, I mean, let me tell you, I was pretty intoxicated that night. And the fact that I remember, that's my first memory, I mean, that's got to be pretty impactful. Other than that, I mean, not only the Dolphins just made a playoff game, but if they just, like, scored in a playoff game, that would probably surpass it. If the Dolphins even thought about making the playoffs.
If that crossed their mind, if they're just like, yeah, guys, it's not just the regular season. It's not just beating the Broncos by 70 points. It's also that.
When is the last time the Dolphins made the playoffs?
2000.
We don't talk about it.
Actually, no. When we made it, no, I take that back. That is the last time they won. The last time that they went to the playoffs. Fun fact, that was my first time in New York. It was 2016. We went against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I remember because I was in Central Park and I was getting borderline hypothermia. And then I get the ESPN notification that we lost to the Steelers. But that was, no, I mean, that's stupid too. We went to the playoffs last year, technically. But that game just really stood out to me, obviously.
We did the playoffs
last year was just disappointing. Tua was injured. Yeah, that doesn't count. Skylar Thompson. It was bad. So, yeah. But the more accurate metric is, yes, the last time that we won a playoff game was in the 2000s. Wow. So do we think we're going to break the streak? Are we making a new best memory for you, Kyle?
This is the year. This year we're going, actually book my hotel in Vegas for the Super Bowl because we are going. Guarantee it. Did I get a nice hotel? Not really. You're staying at Circus. If you're out there, come see me. They do sell 4 locals in the lobby.
Yo, the Fort Local plugin. I love it.
What hotel is this?
Yeah.
Circus.
Circus.
And so I don't know if you've been to Vegas. They got like a lot of very nice 5-star hotels, and then you got Circus.
4 locals in
just,
the lobby.
4 locals. That says enough, right? Is it a great time? Yeah, it's a great time. Dude, yeah.
Circus times 2. Circus.
I would like
not just Circus.
They were coming up with the name, and it's just like, so what name should we give it? Like, dude, like Circus. I feel like that implies it's like a fun time. It's like anything can happen. It's just like no.
Again.
Double.
Do it again.
Yeah, do it again. The marketing team probably saw that and they're just like, oh shit, and stick 4 locals in the lobby so that if we have like a ginger coming here, we can just guarantee a good time. He's going to give us raving reviews. There's also an open invite to Four Loko. We are, interviewing sponsorships. So Four Loko, if you are interested in sponsoring the podcast, you are more than welcome.
Yep.
We can interview you guys. I'm sure we can work something out. But yes.
And also, Prison Pals, I'm drinking your beer right now. We're drinking your beer right now. So you as well. Come on, Miami's. Let's go.
Oh, is it from Miami?
I think so.
Nice.
Doral.
Yeah, you said that.
There you go.
Do we consider Doral Miami? Hot top.
Ooh, that's I'm gonna say no. I think Doral is its own entity.
It is its own entity.
I think if we're being completely
If
honest.
there's anything I hate in this world, I've got a list of a few things. It's,
Let's hear it.
Tom Brady's number one. Oh no, yeah, it's Tom
You
Brady's
hate that he's number one?
No,
like he's at the top
I
of the
hate
list.
Tom
Oh,
Brady.
you hate
number
him. Yep.
Like it's Tom Brady, ATM fees number 2, Doral, and Doral's probably number 3 that I hate, and then number 4 is like cancer and like everything else. It's bad.
No, but I do agree. I think if we had a choice, it's just like, oh, can you eliminate like cancer worldwide and like world hunger and all of that, or can you just like remove Doral and just maybe make that like empty space?
Yeah, I'm sorry if anybody's from Doral.
Sorry, Prison Pals. Fuck off.
You guys don't like it either.
Wait, yeah, we're definitely not getting the.
Yeah, fuck you guys.
No, dude.
Right after the sponsor.
All right, dude. Yeah, well, all of our listening numbers are definitely gonna go out just because. Sorry, Doral.
That's one way to ask for a sponsorship.
All right. So before we make any other statements that potentially get us canceled after we just made it to episode 10. So my last question, Kyle, our local law demon here, and I like to ask this to all of the guests that we've had so far, but if you had to give us your absolute hottest take for the remainder of the season, and again, this can be Dolphin season, it can be Heat season, if you want to give us a bit of a wild card, and if you have a crazy take for, the Panther season, but if you had to give the absolute most bonkers take, what would it be?
A bonkers take.
Yeah.
I already said the Dolphins were going to make the playoffs, so that's a pretty hot take. You know what? I got it. Because I don't know if you saw the post-game interview with Mike McDaniels this week.
Yes.
He was kind of like saying that some players think they're too good and, you got to share the ball more. I think he was taking a shot at Tyreek. Did you guys see that?
Wow.
Yeah. Because I know Tyreek left the Chiefs because, in his words, I don't care if I'm not open, throw me the ball. And so Jalen Waddle recently is kind of like getting a little hot, like, you need to throw me the ball a bit more. So I think that something happened to Tyreek and Jalen Waddle is going to blow up even harder. Guarantee it.
Ooh.
Wow.
And
So you think Jalen Waddle is going to become what, WR1?
I mean, I definitely see him getting involved in the offense more. I think we've been too dependent on Tyreek. Like last year, it was very split, right? Like the whole point of the speed offense is, options and spreading the field. It doesn't really work. We just give it to Tyreek every time.
Obviously.
So, yeah, I think it would be good to give it to. And Waddle doesn't seem happy. So
do we think? Because I think Waddle. No, he's not becoming. He's not due for a contract. Because I know Tua's due for a contract this upcoming season. I think Waddle is the year after that, potentially. So, damn, that is a really intense
Do you
take.
think Tua gets a contract, or do you think he gets franchised?
I think he gets a contract.
Yeah?
Yeah.
good question.
Oh, but that is.
That'd be kind of fucked up to get
Because
franchised.
the
But
injury history.
yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, I hope we give him a contract, but I think we will. I think we'll give him a contract. I like Steven Ross.
Mhm.
He seems to, he doesn't care about spending money.
I mean, I think
Chill, dude.
I think we're thinking about it from the aspect of like a money ball. I mean, I feel like we can get him for like he's if he continues, because he has gotten better every single season. But I think if he does continue trending upward, he's going to be a lot more expensive in the future. So I think we could maybe nab him for like a $25 million type of season, 4 years, something along those lines. Maybe put some clauses in there that it probably wouldn't be like a ton of guaranteed money, but I think the overall worth of the contract, I would probably pin it there. If he does get franchise tagged, that is a hot take.
That would be a tough.
That's a lot of money.
Whoever his agent is in a tough. That's going to be one of the hardest probably deals to swing, because like obviously you have an elite quarterback, but yeah, you can't really argue much against the injury.
Can we see who his agent is? That does make a difference. Jamie, look it up. That's true. That's a reference if anybody got it.
We didn't have like a chat GPT here.
Because agents are lawyers. Let me tell you, we got a community. And is it Drew Rosenhaus?
It is not Drew Rosenhaus.
All right,
I
the two
knew
of us not
that.
getting paid.
Do you have an interest in being a sports agent?
Oh, no, that would have been great.
Wouldn't that be cool? I mean, you could though, right?
It would be the coolest.
Why not?
So the guy that actually, I don't know if you guys noticed, I passed the bar in 9.5 days. The bar prep course I took, the guy failed the bar 3 times.
Dude, Rosenhaus?
No. The guy that taught the course that I took.
Really?
Yeah, it's because he wanted to be a sports agent. That's all he cared about. He went to law school to be a sports agent.
Wow.
So he kept failing the bar.
And now he's teaching bar classes.
But because he got so good at taking the bar, he's like, I'll teach a class about it. But the moral of the story here is that being a sports agent was fucking hard.
Wow.
Yeah, he's like, never become a sports agent. Worst industry ever. Really hard to get into.
Yeah, it seems so cutthroat. I want to get into it. And it's like, getting your foot in the door is like kicking in a cement wall.
I think the only way to do it is like if you know someone, like you have friends that like, you grew up with that went to the NFL, which I do. I do have 2 friends that went to the NFL.
But you have to, it's crazy because you have to like tell them like, hey, like I want to be your sports agent. I want to like literally risk your career for my sake.
Yeah, exactly.
Of like, but.
And I feel like it's a very like, a few select ones have a monopoly on the sport. Like they really,
yeah.
If anybody's hiring, you let me know. 9 days.
9 days.
Yo, I mean, Sports Spectator Agency.
Dude,
there you go.
You got to just start like your own firm and just call it like 9 Days LLC. Like it's not like MIMS or anything. It's literally just 9 days. Like people ask, it's just like, oh, like why the name? It's just like, well, I passed the bar
in 9 days.
Like, do you want to hire me, the guy who will literally risk it all and still get your results, or like you want to hire this guy over here? I heard he had to take the bar twice. So.
Yeah, actually, I was going to put it in my resume. I did put it in my resume right next to running with the Bulls. And, I don't know if that makes me look like lazy or baller. Like, oh, this guy only studied 9 days. I think it's backfired me too.
Dude, I think anyone who reads that and they take it as a red flag, like whatever the equivalent in like the legal world of like not knowing ball is, like those people don't know ball if they see that fact. Yeah, That's like if you read someone that it's just like, oh, this guy, like was a walk-on, but he had never played like high school football, and like now he's a starting quarterback, and be like, bro, that guy's got it. Like,
true.
So
Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, you're like a Baker Mayfield, like first year on the Browns when he was actually really, really good. Not right now, currently. Like that's you.
Baker Mayfield still.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield.
It's my boy.
I mean,
sports agent.
I have a little bit of a bias just because I would like for Kyle Trask to get a little bit more time.
He's got a great first name. Kyle Trask.
That's what I'm saying. All right, man. Well, wow. Definitely loving the conversation. We got a lot of points going on, but I would definitely like for us to go to the main topic, and that is the main reason why we brought Kyle Mintz, a.k.a. Law Demon, a.k.a. 9 Days.
A.k.a. CEO, founder of 9 Days LLC.
Yeah. So you guys heard it here first. But we have a big controversy right now happening in the sports world that, again, we wanted to get Kyle as a premier guest, get his take on it. So for anyone who isn't up to date, to catch you up to speed, Dave Portnoy of Barstool Sports, he had made a bet in the Thursday night game where the Cincinnati Bengals were playing against the Baltimore Ravens. He took a huge future on the Bengals. He obviously publicized it. And again, it's not nothing that he hasn't done before. With his brand, his company, it is part of the image where he is publicizing and making known what he is betting on. Now, what did occur after the fact, we all know how that game went. Joe Burrow, unfortunately, got injured, got taken out for the game, basically is now out the rest of the season. The Bengals obviously went on to lose that game. Now, Portnoy, after the fact, made it very public that, again, he was not dissatisfied with the fact that he lost the money. He was dissatisfied with the fact that the Cincinnati Bengals were aware of Joe Burrow's injury, but explicitly and purposely kept them off the injury report. And this came about after the fact when the Bengals posted and afterwards went on to delete a photo where Joe Burrow could clearly have a noticeable cast, therefore obviously had some type of injury. Now, what Portnoy is arguing, and this is now sort of the topic that is a little bit hot in the sports world, is should there be a governing body? Now, again, in the same way that publicly traded companies do have to respond to the SEC, what occurs now when teams, these legal entities, they are aware of information but do not disclose it. Meanwhile, there is people out there betting hard-earned cash in, obviously, sports betting becoming a lot more legal, widespread. What do you think, Kyle? Let's get your legal take on it.
Yeah, so he is suing, right? Like he filed a lawsuit.
So my understanding is that he is planning on it. I have not seen. I might even check out
Who
Twitter
would
right
you
now.
even sue in that situation?
The league, I guess. I guess you could try and file something against the NFL. You could try and file something, I guess, in this case, against the Bengals.
Like, what is the hierarchy of sports betting? Because, like, you have all these entities as far as, like, FanDuel and DraftKings. You have all these sports within them. But, like, where do you even look as far as, like, who's in charge of what? Like, is there, like, a state legislator that leads sports betting?
But that's the question.
I think there is. But then again, that would be like state by state would be different.
Like a sports gaming division, kind of?
Yeah, I think there is. But I guess in this situation, like, you know, whatever sports betting entity, FanDuel, DraftKings, whoever it is, they wouldn't be at fault, right? Like they didn't know.
No, they didn't know. They knew. Obviously, they're only aware of as much information as we are as the fans. So I guess that is a good question that I think we're trying to navigate in this landscape right now with, again, betting becoming as widespread and is now becoming more and more legal in different states. Like, what do you do in that? Like, are you entitled to something as the consumer where, yes, I am going in and making this bet, but you're making that bet with all known information. Obviously, had Joe Burrow in this case been on the injury report, that would have been a point that, you know, bettors like Dave Portnoy, and I'm sure a lot of other people got screwed over, that would have swayed if they would have placed their money or not. But obviously, they're withholding that information, and it almost begs the question, like, does the NFL have an incentive to make sure information like that doesn't become public? Because, again, for big AAA games like that, by not putting it out there that Joe Burrow is injured, you're going to get an influx of people betting one way or the other. Just imagine this. Let's say in a fictitious situation, both Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow were known to be injured that game. Not a lot of people are going to bet that game because there's going to be too many unknowns. But again, AAA game like that, you're assuming that both superstar quarterbacks are healthy. Again, the hype takes over. You start reading like the spread, the money lines, and like you're much more likely to want to put a future on a certain team. So again, I think the question right now is, can anyone be held liable, for example, if they're withholding that type of information? What do you think?
Yeah, so I guess first of all, fuck Dave Portnoy.
Okay, we're starting hot.
Yeah, we're gonna start with that. You know,
Fuck you, Dave.
yeah, I used to like you, Portnoy, you know, but I'm from Miami. I'm a Miami guy, and you're in Miami now. And you had the audacity to show up to a Miami Heat finals game wearing a Celtics jersey. No longer my boy.
That's incredibly disrespectful. I agree.
Yeah, so hopefully I hope the whole world, but Dave Portnoy sees this podcast because he doesn't deserve the intel. That being said, so it's funny because I looked into this. So apparently people try to sue the NFL quite a lot.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, you know, people get mad and say, you know, whatever reason. So something interesting that I found was that the NFL is considered, I'm gonna butcher it now. I think it's considered an entertainment corporation or entertainment industry as opposed to a sports industry. So the case I was reading was college football, for example, was considered a sports industry. NFL football is considered entertainment industry.
Interesting.
So the comparison they made in the case was to WWE. WWE we know is, well, spoiler alert, guys, Santa's not real.
No,
it's
no way.
It's all set up, man. Yeah, it is.
Bro, you're fucking with me.
Yeah,
No way.
So the scripts are real.
yeah. I mean, it's a
NFL scripts are real.
It's a real possibility. I mean, it's so what that means at the end of the day, and without getting too deep into it, is that at the end of the day, they're supposed to provide entertainment, nothing else. That is their duty at the end of the day. And I guess however they do that is how they do that. So,
okay. So on that same breath, now couldn't you argue that there is some sort of a conflict of interest then in that case if the NFL is very much taking funds from other companies, again, DraftKings, FanDuel's, that again, their business and the way that they make a profit is by having people bet on all these games. There is a very clear partnership between the two. So again, where do you draw the line? I feel like it does get a little bit blurry if I understand if the defense of the NFL is we're an entertainment industry and our only responsibility is to provide said entertainment. But at the same time, that same company who is providing the entertaining is also making an absolute killing by partnering with these, with the bookies, with the betting platforms.
Yeah, we're not calling bookies. We're calling them, what is the proper term for gambling? Not bookies, though. We're not
Sports books.
I guess it is. Maybe it is
Yeah.
bookies. I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends, like, how in cahoots they are. Do the sports betting places have knowledge of these injuries? Like, do they know?
They have I refuse. So sorry, I'm going to interject here. For example, I don't know if you guys remember, but like there was like a very famous World Series scandal in like the early 1900s, where like the mafia took over and like it was the White Sox versus someone.
The Yankees. And what was the guy's name? I love this guy. He's my idol.
So you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do.
Like if it existed back then when sports betting was as illegal as, if not more illegal than like smuggling alcohol, and now you fast forward a century, it's got to be rampant. Like these sports books don't go into business without understanding how to connect with like these leagues and like the officials and the professionals. Like all the algorithms connect like the behind the scenes of this story is like 10 Netflix documentaries. It just has to be. There's just so much money. I'm under the sad assumption that like all sports are rigged. They're just all rigged. There's too much money for it not to be.
I bring this example up all the time. You have the Heat and the Denver Nuggets make the finals last year.
Mm-hmm.
In the Western Conference and Eastern Conference Finals, it was the Celtics against the Heat, and then the Lakers against the Nuggets.
Yeah,
I don't know if you remember the Eastern Conference Finals, but it was like they were trying to get the Celtics the series. Like,
big time.
Because what's going to make them more money? Celtics, Lakers, like that's a great finals.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they definitely have an interest in like quote unquote rigging these games.
And that's on the viewership side, of course. And then now you add in this like sports gambling side. It's like this crazy Venn diagram of like, and like I'm so biased. Like all the executives must look at this being like, okay, I can make more money from this for sure. You're dealing with like the media deals on one side, and you have the gambling deals on the other side. They probably have on their speed dial all the executives of these sports books being like, give me the latest takes so I can make the most money on these odds, and I'll give you a cut. Because there's no regulation around it.
But again, I feel like in that case, though, the incentive is that, so with the Lakers Celtics potential finals, and again, definitely not unknown that, that would have garnered tons of views. You got historic rivalry, two like very, very well established big market franchises going against each other. LeBron, Tatum, a ton of storylines there. But I feel like in that case, all that it is just it's garnering more views. It is generating more revenue. So obviously the league does have an incentive, but I think it's a lot different when you have people actually betting their hard-earned cash.
Yeah. So sorry, I mentioned it because I'm thinking like legally, right?
Mm-hmm.
So negligence is like you can make a case for negligence out of anything. A car accident, negligence. You got a bad surgery, negligence. So what negligence is you got duty, breach, causation, damages.
Mm-hmm.
Duty's the first one. So what that means is I owe a duty to other people to do X, Y, Z. If you're in a hotel and the hotel, collapse on you, the hotel had a duty to, stand.
Mm-hmm.
What's the NFL's duty here? Like, that's my problem with it legally. So I've been thinking about this. There is another option, though. It's called intentional infliction of emotional distress. And what that is that, like, you had something happened and you had some type of, like, mental issue that happened after that. So that's an option. You might be able to sue for that.
Dude, that's a case right there. Just having a mental breakdown from like betting your mortgage on a game.
Dude, okay, so what I took away from that is we're going to go take the fattest loan that we can get from the bank, just bet it on a game, and if it doesn't, it sounds like a win-win. If it doesn't hit, we can sue for, again, this mental stress, mental damage, make a suit about that, or, obviously, if it does hit, boom, then it obviously hits.
Yeah, so there is one thing with that. Like, this is like one of the only, causes of action that kind of requires this, but it's not enough to just have like a mental issue. You got to have like some type of like, physical defect after that. So you got to like develop a twitch or something. Like you're so stressed out from this bet that like you're now like, you got mental issues. Like you're freaking out now.
Well, dude, then by that same logic, I should be able to sue the University of Florida. Just the sheer mental issues.
Yeah.
I think by that logic, I can definitely prove it's just like, yeah, man, I've had weight gain. I'm not able to sleep. We had 3 back-to-back losses, and it is very clearly affecting my health. I need booster money to help me.
I actually came up with the idea because of how depressed I was after Saturday.
Yeah.
I was like, this is it. Like, I've got a real, physical defect now because of the Gators.
I agree. So because of that, we will be filing a suit against the University of Florida. So boosters, please get your money out because we're coming after it all. Okay? There's going to be buildings named after us. There's going to be like, the 9 days College of Business.
College of Law, man.
College of Law.
I got a question because if we're talking about all this stuff, I guess I would assume this falls into the same like legal jurisdiction as like a casino, as far as like the sports books and stuff do. So like, obviously, well, maybe you can sue a casino for like the stress, but I feel like they just eat those lawsuits.
But okay, counter argument to that: there is a governing body that controls and oversees how the casinos operate.
Interesting.
So I think, for example, there was always a case to be made, especially with now the digital slot machines. A lot of times people say it's like, well, what's stopping a casino from simply programming this in order for it to never hit? And casinos do have to respond to a governing body where they can prove that, again, the slot machine, there is technically a way that it will win if enough people do play it. Because otherwise, these casinos would just get away with it. Like, they would find ways so that, probably put like magnets on the roulette table so that like it always, it's more favored to like hit a certain number on like certain days and then kind of rig it that way. The slot machines, another perfect example. So what I potentially could see is there could be a similar governing body where in this Joe Burrow on Thursday night situation, the NFL would have to actually make an argument that, yes, we in fact were not aware of Joe Burrow's injury, therefore we're not at fault. But for example, if someone can prove that, like, yes, the NFL or at least the Bengals were aware of the injury, again, then you can make an argument for like a repayment of like the bets that people lost. So that's where I could see it. That's where I could see it going. Because I do think we are sort of trending into this like Wild West territory. Again, betting, it's becoming like the popular thing now. I feel like for the longest time, it used to have such a negative image to it, but now it's just like, it's fun. Like, we talk about it, like we joke about every single weekend in our chat, we talk about like, what stupid fucking parlays are we making this weekend? And it's just,
sorry, can I put a disclaimer there? Betting's not allowed in Florida. I would never do that at the Florida bar. I've never bet and never gambled in my life inside of Florida. Sorry.
Law even 69.
Yeah, I'm not bar certified, so yeah, I definitely gamble in the state of Florida. Shout out Bovado, which I think is run by the mob. But it's all good. They actually do pay every time I win, so no issue with them. But again, perfect example right there. I can't go and complain if I lose money because I'm definitely not. I'm doing it when I'm not supposed to. But I think if you're someone that lives in state of New York, Chicago, all these other states where it is legal, I do think there is an argument to be made that there might need to be some sort of governing body to protect the consumers to a certain extent. Because again, another example, like let's say if we would have taken the Thursday night, and again, I would have bet a huge future on the Bengals. But what if Zach Taylor just randomly decided, no, I'm going to bench Joe Burrow? Like, he just decided, like, yeah, fuck this job. Like, I don't really care. Like, he had a personal vendetta against the owner or something. And he just randomly decided, I'm going to bench my starters. Like, he just stopped caring about the season. Like, how would that be fair to someone who, like, willingly, put their money on the line thinking that the team was going to play one way and last minute they decided to bet? Like, I feel like there would need to be some level of consumer protection, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's a law school essay right there, man. You got me thinking. That was on the essay. That was on the bar exam. Might have been 10 days. I mean, like a big thing of like what I was saying earlier, but to be able to file a lawsuit, you got to have causation. Mm-hmm. So, did Joe Burrow's injury or did the lack of the injury report result in you having damages that you lost your money on the bet?
Which I think, for example, Dave Portnoy, I think he could make an argument that, yes, he had monetary losses due.
Yeah, but what if the Bengals still won the game? Yeah, It's tough. That's why you got to develop a tick. You have emotional distress, man. That's the only way. I'm telling you.
That is
not legal
true.
advice.
But I guess then could you make an argument that okay, but counter argument, but in that case, let's say in that instance, if Jake Browning, when he came in backing up Joe Burrow, let's say they did win, could I make an argument to the books that again, because I didn't know about the injury report, like the payout should technically been higher? Because the Bengals were favored, they were, I think, minus 120 for that particular game. Like, could I go and make the argument like, no, the payout should have been higher because if I knew about the injury, I would have if that would have been known information, the odds would have been the payout would have technically been better. They might have been like plus 105 or something.
True. Kind of going back to what you said earlier too. With the casinos and there being a governing body. At least here in Florida, a lot of the casinos are on Native American land.
Mm-hmm.
So Native Americans are.
Oh yeah, they operate independently.
Yeah, that's like going into a different country. If you go to like Mixed Casino, you have no rights.
Yeah.
You're done. Constitution, what?
Never heard of that.
You're done. So and same thing with like Bovada and stuff. Pretty sure they're headquartered in Bermuda. So yeah, like legally speaking, maybe got a case, but good luck. Good luck.
This is where things get interesting because, so obviously it's not the same as like investing, but at the end of the day, it also kind of is. And so in these cases where it's like a lot of things that are happening in crypto right now, these foreign entities, whether it's Bermuda, Turks and Caicos, Malta, they're taking money from American investors, and that puts them under the scope of the U.S. government. So, for example, all these crypto buys that are out of the country, if you're taking money from American investors, they will come after you. And so now, with the sports gambling becoming more relevant, does the government say you're now in this same world, or do they say we don't really still care about this?
No, that's a great point, and I think it is very similar. So I think the government might get involved, but then it just goes back to like, did the books, did they know about the injury?
Mm-hmm.
I guess one of the things is like if you knew or should have known.
Mm-hmm.
So like they should have known because I think it was before the game that Joe Burrow was posted with the
yeah. But the Bengals knew they were at fault because they deleted that post.
Yeah.
They knew because as soon as people started calling it out, it's like, hey, why does Joe Burrow have a cast on his hand? The post got deleted. So they were aware of it.
Joe Burrow, if you're listening, it was all for looks. It was apparel, it was like a Louis Vuitton cast. You did it for.
Was it really?
That could be a defense. No, it's a fashion statement.
Sure, you had no clue. I don't know, man. Joe Burrow's a stud. He definitely plays through injuries. I'm sure he was injured. So it's tough, man. But it just really goes down to like, was the NFL responsible? Like, whose job is it to do the injury report? Is it the NFL? Is it the Bengals?
Mm-hmm.
Are they one entity? It's tough.
I do agree. I feel like I don't think we're gonna come up with a good logical answer on today's episode, but
No, maybe we did. Sorry,
we did.
Emotional distress.
Emotional distress.
You have to develop a tick.
So you heard it first here, guys. Again, full disclosure, not legal advice, but if you get depressed enough by a football team, maybe you go and like jump off a balcony, just nothing fatal.
Oh my god, that was not it. That was not it. He said that's not me.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't. Can we edit my name out of it?
Please do not jump off a balcony. Okay, I will say it as my own not bar certified individual. Hey, if you can prove, I guess, emotional distress or even some sort of physical damage, balcony. Yeah, I guess there's money to be made there. So as a depressed sports fan, I'm definitely going to keep this in mind. If I'm ever strapped for cash, it's just like, oh, my bad. It's the Heat lost so bad. I just couldn't help jumping in front of I-95 into oncoming traffic. Like, I deserve monetary compensation.
Man, thank God it only took me 9 days to pass the bar because you guys are about to give me disbarred. I'm going to Georgia now. That's it.
Okay. But in all seriousness, I do agree. It's a very complicated topic. So Kyle, definitely want to thank you for coming on and discussing it with us a bit. Again, I feel like there's too many scenarios, but there's a lot that's changing in the world. And I mean, with the rising of cryptocurrency, with the rising of artificial intelligence, and obviously AI becoming much more prevalent, I think it is going to be a very interesting landscape to say the least. That I do believe this whole situation that happened, this whole unique instance with the Bengals and the Ravens that happened, I don't think that is going to be the first time we see something like that. Almost just a matter of when does it happen to someone that's like high enough up there in the hierarchy of the world where, again, much bigger than Dave Portnoy, something similar is going to happen to them. They're going to be a lot more connected. And maybe we could see some interesting developments. And at that point, we're kind of pivoting more just like, okay, does this become, like a franchise by franchise situation? Is it regulated by the state? Is it federal? Like, where do you draw the line? But I think it's safe to say it will be something that will be developing. So I think more than anything else is just like bet accordingly.
Yeah, regulatory frameworks are down bad. I mean, it's a fucking shit show. Like, good luck. My last point I want to mention is like there was a case I think last season in NCAA baseball where like the Alabama coach told his friend that like the starting pitcher was out and to take it, and this dude went to the bookie and like bet. Like, can you imagine how many instances of that happen where the person placing the bet is not a complete idiot and like doesn't get caught like that? So it's just like you guys said before, it's the Wild West and it's a fucking shit show. And yeah, go make your money because you can for sure.
Yeah, but Dolphins money line, Dolphins spread against the Commanders this weekend, still free money. And again, it's a win-win. If you lose, emotional distress, and it's a win-win either way. Not legal advice though. So Florida bar, come after me. I'm not certified, so I don't know what they can do.
That wasn't my real name. I'm not really here. This is AI, actually.
Yeah, AI.
It's all a simulation, anyways. We're all on simulation. But yeah, man, want to big a huge shout out to our boy Kyle, Law Demon. And maybe as this develops, we will have you on as a recurring guest, and we'll find out.
We'll see.
All right, guys. So we talked about it. That was our main topic for today. So with that said, to kind of close out or to continue on today's episode, we obviously have to touch on just very briefly on the Dolphins game that happened this past weekend. So we beat the Jets, severely whomped them as everyone expected and as we called it last week. But breaking news just happened recently, but the Dolphins, again, with the whole Jalen Phillips injury, which first and foremost, I want to talk about that. John, as a New York resident, how do you feel about Metfield?
I mean, it's a piece of shit. My best experience at MetLife Field was outside of it at EDC New York. So, yeah, that's that. What's funny, too, is it's also a relatively new stadium. I think it was built in the last 20 years, maybe the last 15, 10. And, yeah, it's a dump. So,
that all the players just say that, like, the field is just so bad. And, I mean, now we lost Jalen Phillips because of it, and
it's fucked up. And you know what? It's turf fields in general are kind of fucked up. And it's kind of disappointing when you start seeing, like, all these big college programs also doing turf, like Michigan. You look at the Michigan, like that historic, like horseshoe field. What is it called? The Big House? Something like that?
Yeah, the Big House.
And it's turf. It's like immediately just like goes down like my respect level. If you're a real college program, you have grass field, not fucking turf. That shit's lame as fuck. So, yeah, fuck turf.
Yeah, dude.
Fuck turf.
Ass or grass.
Yeah,
no turf.
Are we considering Michigan to be a real college program? Because I think like my high school is more legit than that.
Wow.
Sorry, Michigan.
I mean,
go Gators.
Go Gators, dude. I mean, we did beat them in a bowl game during the Dan Mullen era. So
yeah,
they pretty much therefore don't exist.
R.I.P. You know what? I sort of miss him. But going back to what I was saying, the breaking news that we just heard.
Wait, would you take Dan Mullen over Napier if he came back?
I think at this point, on my knees right now for Dan Mullen.
Over Napier?
Yeah,
I don't like Napier either. I think he's a joke.
Oh no, I think he's the Antichrist. It's coming from a law demon ginger. Listen,
go ahead.
No, yeah, Dan Mullen. I mean, I'm sorry. It was me. It wasn't you. Come back to me.
What happened? How did his tenure end? Did he have a horrible season or just not a super successful season?
Just wasn't a super successful season.
More successful than Napier this season?
I mean, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Every season was, yeah.
Wow.
I heard he lost the locker room. Supposedly he was going to the Jets, the head coach there, and a few things. They just had it out to get him.
I believe
so. Mm-hmm.
I'm a big believer that I would definitely say my dream scenario would be to still have Dan Mullen as the play caller and the head coach, and maybe just have Napier recruiting, because I will give it Napier, great recruiter, and that's where Dan Mullen sucked.
Really?
So that would be, if we could somehow work that in, make that a thing.
Does Napier call the plays on offense? Or
yes. I just learned that, which is horrible.
Yeah, he is a terrible play call.
But again, with the recruiting, it's just like with the NIL nowadays, it doesn't really matter. It's like, are you paying them or are you not? Like, that's all the recruiting there is.
I heard from a bird that Florida has the most money in Florida.
Yeah.
Florida Gators have the most money in Florida.
Yeah, I mean,
booster money.
yeah, we definitely are.
Yeah.
The biggest and the best.
Yeah, Kyle is a huge booster.
Yeah.
I should have known. But going back to the topic of the Dolphins, the breaking news that I wanted to break here, in case anyone hasn't heard it, we have now officially signed Jason Pierre-Paul, who is infamously known for literally blowing up. I believe it was one finger. Kyle and John are claiming it was two fingers. He blew them up with a Roman candle. But we did get him. It was good with the Jalen Phillips injury. Again, we needed a little bit more help in that position. So that was good. How are we feeling about that pick?
Can I change my hot take from earlier?
Yes.
What's his name? JPP?
JPP.
He's going to blow up offensive lines like he blew up his hand. Guarantee it. He's coming.
Did he win the Super Bowl with Tom Brady in Tampa? Or
he did, but he also won with the Giants against Tom Brady.
Wow. So what does that mean now?
Well,
it means we're winning.
Yeah.
He's lucky charm. It wasn't Tom Brady the whole time.
How is he a free agent this whole time? That's pretty shocking.
He's just older.
He's just older, but still, wow.
So statistically, he is 2 for 2 for being on teams that win a Super Bowl. So numbers are on our side. Dude, shout out Jason Pierre-Paul, Super Bowl MVP. Holy shit.
Yeah, him and Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, him and Jalen Waddle. You heard it here first. Okay, so that's good. So 2 big takes today. MetLife fucking sucks. Well, I guess that's not that hot of a take, but JPP taking us to the promised land. Not Tua, not Tyreek, not Waddle, not Mike. It is JPP with his 8 hands. Or sorry, 8 fingers.
Octopus.
That's what he does it.
Okay. But what's another cool thing that we saw in the game? Oh, we saw the Javon Holland pick 6.
Epic.
Tim Boyle just absolutely launching it for that just dumbass Hail Mary. And again, just the New York Jets just continuing to summarize just an absolutely atrocious season, and then just capping the first half against the Dolphins at home, mind you. But it was just beautiful. Shout out Javon Holland. I mean, just such a stud for returning that. He's the best safety in the league.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he plays for old school. He really likes to beat guys up. Targeting does not exist in his mind. And apparently pick sixes do, so.
Dude, yeah.
That must have just sucked the air out of that stadium. Just watching the interception and then just watching it literally 100-yard return to end the half.
Dude, I feel like as a Jets fan, you're kind of just sitting there and every week you probably think to yourself, like, no, like this is rock bottom. Like
yeah, that was just like bottom.
We can hit it, and then at least maybe it's up from here. But then every game, like they find new ways to just like destroy your spirits. So Jets fan, I think you guys have a good argument for the emotional distress lawsuit that we were talking about. Maybe collectively as a fan base, you guys can sue the New York Jets. I know I would, because I mean I felt for you guys, just everything that we've had to witness. I think we can make an argument for severe physical damage that the New York Jets have caused their fan base.
Yeah, that's a big fact. I mean, you talked about sucking the air out the stadium. I think that happened week 1. Like,
oh yeah,
right?
Oh my
20%.
That was that in MetLife?
That was in MetLife, yes. So MetLife, literally, his first victim was Rodgers.
Oh wow! So Aaron Rodgers got messed up on that field too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Same injury, like the same injury that happened to Jalen Phillips. Same one that happened.
Except at least with Aaron Rodgers, it was contact. But yeah.
Are there any other fields that are like that?
I've heard that FedEx Field, where the Commanders play, that supposedly isn't that great. But yeah, consistently, one of the narratives every season is that there's always a set amount of players that get injured during MetLife. I think the last time I saw the stat was 15 players this season have gotten injured so far. I mean, I might even...
Dude, I saw it was Sterling Shepard got injured 2 or 3 times there. That's brutal.
Wow.
I think it was the ACL and I don't know if the other. It might have been both ACLs, but
well, I think Messi. Correct me if I'm wrong, John. You would know more, but I think Messi refused to play on artificial turf, right?
Who knows? He didn't play on it, but he was heard talking about hey, I grew up playing on it, blah blah blah. I don't care, I'll play on turf. But then he didn't play on it at the end of it. So who knows whether it was for the turf reasoning or resting reasoning? But yeah, I mean, if you're that level of athlete, fuck that. I'm not playing on that shit.
Do you think Messi made that decision? Because he seems a little slow to me.
Slow,
No, I'm not talking about athletically. Athletically, he's very fast.
like statistic.
Yeah, that's a low. Is Messi on the spectrum possible?
Yes.
But I
You have to be that good.
Yeah,
for
for some
it's,
reason.
it's a good thing to be autistic. I want to be autistic. I am autistic.
Yeah, probably 9 days, man.
Yeah. Kyle's autistic.
Dude, 9 days.
We're not making it to episode 20.
Sorry, guys. But Messi, hot take. Maybe that's a cool
Messi
take.
autistic.
Yeah, I feel like it's just like a fact.
Yeah.
Across the board.
Oh,
No
man.
pun intended, across the spectrum.
Dude.
He's like, what is artificial grass? What's a stadium?
I just play soccer.
I just kick the ball.
Yeah. But I did look it up. So from Dolph Kleinman, at NFL_Dolph Kleinman on Twitter. So he says, since 2020, these are a couple highlighted injuries that we've had. So Nick Bosa, Aaron Rodgers, Sterling Shepard, as you mentioned, Kyle Fuller, Jimmy Garoppolo, I think that was the injury that he had this year. Raheem Mostert also has gotten injured on there. Wan'Dale Robinson, Solomon Thomas, Jabril Peppers, and then obviously most recently, Jalen Phillips.
This is all at MetLife?
At MetLife, yeah. Those have
They
all
got
been.
to go.
The Jalen Phillips one was crazy because like all he did was just like lift off his plant.
Yeah.
And then like you just saw it
You
snap.
saw it
It's
in
like,
the
oh
video.
my God. Yeah, it's brutal.
Just saw his leg come apart the way my heart did Saturday against FSU.
Dude, literally, that was a physical representation of. Yeah, that's a good comparison. I think, yeah,
Dude.
that was our heart, our emotions just literally
It was.
ripping inside our bodies.
Saturday was one of the best like days of football of my life.
Yeah,
Oh, must be
yeah,
nice.
I'm sure.
Must be nice.
Well, I mean, like not even like on the sense of that, just as far as like good games. Like the Ohio State Michigan game was great. The Auburn Alabama game was obviously great, and you guys lost, but like that game was also amazing. Like Florida FSU was such a good game. Like the two rookie quarterbacks playing. Dude, the Rodemaker sack where he just got his head smacked in, that was nuts.
That was.
The FSU quarterback, that was crazy. I don't know if you guys got to see it like at the bar, but like seeing it like at home, like the big screen, that man left his body and then came back on the field and won. Sorry, guys. Sorry,
Dude,
I went too far.
Solve in the womb.
I went
man.
too
It's
far.
too soon.
It is, but you know what? It's when you have a good team, you got to brag about it. I wish I knew what it was like to root for, or I wish I knew what it was like to root for a good college football team this season because our season's over. I don't think we're going to a ball game.
No, yeah, it literally is.
Yeah.
5-7.
Yeah,
R.I.P.
so
Miami's going to
Yeah.
one.
and we are not.
Really?
Yeah.
Who did you play on Saturday?
They played Boston
College. Yeah, that's
Boston
who it
College?
on
was.
Friday. They played.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Friday.
Because this is rivalry week, right? So
Mhm.
you're supposed to play your biggest rivals. Who do you think is the bigger rival? UM and FSU or FSU and UF?
FSU and UF.
And UF?
I
Because
think
I hear FSU people say that UM and FSU are their biggest rival. Because that's in conference.
I think they say that out of spite because they know that at the end of the day we'll always be the better school. So they try to pretend like they don't pay attention to
agree.
us. So they're just like, oh, UF, I've never heard of that school. When in reality, they're like the ex that is, really, really upset that you don't pay attention to them. Because I would say between those two, UF FSU is better. But to me, that's not even UF's biggest rivalry. To me, I consider LSU, Tennessee. I would say Georgia. Those are the rivalries that I'm more concerned about. So FSU most of the time is not even on our radar.
The FSU UF rivalry is awesome. It's cool because it's like an it's literally insane. An out of conference rivalry that plays every year at the end of the season. Like that, I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
I can't think of any other rivalry like that. Kentucky, Louisville.
That's true.
Never mind. There's a bunch.
South Carolina, Clemson.
Clemson,
Yeah, there are a few. I lost money on that. Not that I bet.
I would have lost money.
I would have.
Hypothetically, on Saturday.
I was in New York. Oh man, yeah, that killed my parlay. 2 parlays dead.
Dude, RIP.
RIP, man.
All right, so to wrap up our conversation on the Dolphins, so again, big game coming up. Oh, not a big game, but against the Commanders, we haven't played them since 2019, which was when we were in the middle of the #TankForTua campaign, so that'll be interesting. But the last take that I want to make before we move on to our next topic of discussion is that Denver right now, they've now won 5 games in a row. And I feel like the narrative of people saying that the Dolphins have yet to beat a good team, that narrative doesn't exist anymore. We did put up 70 points against now arguably the hottest team in the AFC. And if you tell me that that is not beating a good team, you do not know ball. Would you guys agree? Disagree?
Yeah, I mean, we beat Denver, right? We beat the Jets. I think the Jets beat
The
The
Eagles.
Chiefs, the Eagles.
The Eagles.
Only team to beat the Eagles.
So it's kind of like UCF did that one year. Like we beat Auburn beat Alabama. We're the national champions. So
Yes.
yeah, I think we're the best team in the league, and I think our record and who we played shows that.
I agree.
One more thing to close it out. These next 2 weeks are the preseason games to the big game, which is the Cowboys in Miami, which we're going to be at the tailgate for. And that game's going to be fucking lit.
And also, don't forget, watch party December 17th, RSVP if you haven't already.
Do it. Do it.
All right, so we obviously got to talk about a little bit of Miami Heat. Again, we're still early in the season, but a couple updates that are worth highlighting on. First and foremost, we lost to the Knicks on Friday. Hypothetically, if I would have decided to bet that game, hypothetically, I would have won because the Heat covered that spread. But again, in a hypothetical scenario, which I don't know why I'm saying that because I already disclosed myself saying I bet on Bovada, so fuck it. At least the Heat covered the spread on that game, so shout out to them. But they did lose, unfortunately, to the Knicks at Madison Square Garden by 2 points. Again, we blew a big fourth quarter lead, and it's kind of becoming a consistent thing this season where we build a big lead, and then somehow by the fourth quarter we've blown it. To twist the knife even further, we are no longer officially undefeated in in-season tournament play after losing to the Knicks on Friday. So that sucks. And then we also did go and lose to the Nets again. So kind of sucks because we're losing in the East. But on a brighter note, Triple J, Jaime Hawkins Jr., absolutely balling the fuck out.
He's an animal.
He is.
His passing's very good too. He's kind of becoming like the Kevin Love, like those nice like long outlet passes. I like him a lot. I know who he was before, but I'm a fan now.
Yeah, dude, I'm a huge fan. I mean, he's from Mexico. We talked about it on the last episode. We love Mexico, dude, and he is just absolutely representing. I mean, he just kind of came out of nowhere, and it's just some are making the argument that again he wasn't talked about during the pre-draft. Everybody was talking about Wembanyama, Scoot Henderson, all these other rookies at the time, and Jaime Hawkins was on nobody's draft board, and for him to come in here and just blow up the league as he's done, dude, it makes every game feel like even when we lose, we're still sort of winning.
Yeah, definitely.
Dude. So
that's some gaslighting right there.
Dude, I told you whatever happens on any game, I'm gonna give it a spin zone to make it better. I did that when we lost to the Chicago Bulls a while back, kind of gaslighting myself into believing that was a recruiting tactic to get Caruso and Zach LaVine. That was my spin zone on it. So yeah, my spin zone now is that we're winning because Triple J is balling out. But unfortunately, on another note, a rookie who has not been balling out, the other pride and soul of this Miami Heat team, Nikola Jovic, who has really not gotten any minutes. Now, I wanted to bring this up. This is sort of a breaking news, but he recently went on record. I think he went on a radio show and actually made some comments around what he thinks his part in the Miami Heat roster is. So he says, I'm going to try to shorten this a little bit, but he says, I insisted there was no point in sitting out the whole season after a good summer. I even like the G League, but there I play in the 5 position. Somehow it's like there's no way out for me right now. I still don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, but I'm sure there will be. So the guy obviously very dissatisfied with how he's used by the Heat, by Spoelstra. He's obviously not getting any minutes. There what he was mentioning is when he got sent to the G League, so he's not staying cold during the season, but there's definitely a little bit of controversy. I mean, he was last year's draft pick. He's not being used. Do we think he could get traded? I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
It sounds like he has an emotional distress claim. He doesn't seem too happy there. I will say, I mean, Pat Riley's the GOAT, right? Like, Pat Riley's just so good at evaluating talent. And Pat Riley's like, you got other coaches, GMs, whoever, who they're going to play the star player, the first-round draft pick. Pat Riley doesn't give a fuck. Like, he's going to play whoever's the best player. Who heard of Caleb Martin before? Duncan Robinson, all these people. I think if this guy had the ability to ball, he would ball. And he'd be in the game. I mean, if he's not playing, be better. I don't know, man. I mean, yeah, he seems like he's good, but again, I've never really seen him play. But I have full faith in Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra, and I got to say, if he's not playing, it's probably for a reason.
Oof. You know what? Hard to disagree with that argument. Yeah, I mean, I think if you're balling, like you will get minutes. I mean, Jaime Jaquez, perfect example of that.
Yeah.
Was a nobody per se before he came into the league. Got his opportunity, balled out, and now he is consistently coming off the bench. I think he's actually been a starter, maybe games here and there. But yeah, dude, Nikola Jovic, bro, you got to be better, I guess.
Gotta get in there, or maybe he's the new Haslam. Haslam spent a lot of time on the bench. They need a water guy.
I think he's just getting. He's been trending a lot on Twitter because people see him. He's just like, oh, tall white kid, Eastern European, Nikola Jovic. Like people just automatically are like, oh, this kid is automatically talented. And I'll assume I fell into that category.
Yeah, so I thought he was related to Jokic, right?
Yeah.
It's different last names, different people. Yeah, so fuck that guy. Sit on the bench.
Oh yeah, dude. Actually, that could be it. Maybe Spo's doing it out of spite because it's just like fucking last name just reminds me of Jokic beat us in the final. It's just like, nah, this is my way of getting back at all of because I think he is also from Croatia.
Or he's just
Serbia.
Growing the dog in him. Just building that spite and hunger and
getting
raw power. Yeah.
Yeah. I will say, I know Pierre-Paul is very famous for like his, building players and like getting them to like really good shape and working out and stuff. And I don't think he's that big. I don't think he's very muscular. So maybe like he needs some trend or something. Maybe Pierre-Paul is trying to like beef him up a little bit more. What position does he play for?
I think he does play the 4, but yeah, he said in the league he's playing the 5. But I think he does play the 4.
Yeah, I mean, overall, my take is that you ever order something off Amazon, it's like sounds like something, but it's like you really ordered the wrong product. Like you ordered something that just sounded like that's what this is, right? Like we thought we were getting Jokic, and we got Jovic. We got the wrong guy. We fucked up.
Yeah, there was someone who was looking at the depth chart, and it's just like, hey, I think you made a typo on his last name. I think it's with a K, not with a V, and they're like, no, that's his name. It's like, oh shit.
Power was like at 11 that night, just having a good time. I was like,
yeah, he's just like, wait, the fucking Eastern, like, Jokic's little brother, he's on the board, let's get him.
Dude, I thought I was him for like years until we played them in the finals. I'm like, why aren't they brothers? Why aren't they talking? Like, are they mad at each other? And I looked it up, and no one's gonna believe I passed the bar 9 days now.
Dude, you're gonna beat this bar after this episode. Like,
I'm going to Georgia. Dude, is sports betting legal there?
Probably not.
I don't think so.
Not beating country.
I don't think so. Oh man, dude, that was hilarious. Yeah, so hot take. The only reason we got it is because Pat Riley was lit one night and legit thought that it was like Jokic's brother, and now they're just trying to like undo the damage. It's just like, well, we can't reverse a draft pick, but
Pat Riley will find a way. He's really good at that.
Dude, you guys want to know a crazy thing that I saw? I think I was on Reddit, and I just learned about this, but apparently the NBA, there's a rule that if like a team loses 5 or more players due to just like unforeseen extreme physical circumstances. So what they defined as one was like a dismemberment. So for example, if you lost, like if 5 of your players just like all became dismembered, like you're allowed to hold an emergency draft. Dude, and it was so psychotic. The person was bringing this up because he said that the Brooklyn Nets should find a way to basically dismember 5 of their players in order to do an emergency draft. Can you believe how psychotic that is?
No. If I was the Nets, I'd be doing the same thing. Like that doesn't seem far-fetched at all. I can think of a lot of teams I would do that for. Nets at the top of the list. Gators are there too, don't
Oh, dude.
Oh, definitely the Jets after this.
Dude, the Jets are just going to have like their entire roster and just like have them do like a suicides up and down MetLife, and it's just like, yo, it's last man standing. Like
suicide.
Like if of the 53-man roster, if you're like, it's going to be like last 20 roster people standing, then you stay on the team. Otherwise, like you're done.
Well, probably better than what they're doing right now. So
I agree. Oh shit. All right, guys. Well, there you have it. Some hot takes for the Heat season. So yeah, we're gonna keep it. We're gonna keep tuning into the Heat. So obviously, we'll continue dropping some money line bets, some spreads for the remainder of the Heat season. But yeah, so Kyle, once again, thank you for having us on, and we like to conclude this segment by naming our top 5 Miami athletes of the week. And again, contrary to what the name of the segment says, we are not actually highlighting any actual athletes. So I'm going to start us off. I'm going to go and name my number 5 Miami athlete of the week. I want to give it to bleach. Literally, the chemical agent used for heavy-duty cleaning. Because when we went to Batch to watch the Gator game, that shit was intense. I'm not going to lie. It was dominating my nostrils. So shout out to bleach for killing whatever virus or disease or animal they had in the premise. Because I think it did its job. It just absolutely put up a triple-double that day.
Yeah, it must have been bleach that like killed our offensive scheme. Right?
Probably.
Yeah.
I think so. Like they probably smelled it all the way from Gainesville. That's how intense it was. That's a good point. My number 4 spot goes to the fourth quarter of Miami Heat games. And the reason I am giving my number 4 spot to that is because last year we were having what we used to call the third quarter, where the Heat used to build up a huge lead, and by the third quarter, we would blow it. Now this season, we are no longer doing that. We maintain a consistent lead through the first, second, and the third quarter, and then by the fourth quarter, we're blowing it out. So shout out to the fourth quarter for taking over the third quarter spot and making it so that we're no longer losing leads in the third, but rather in the fourth. Really great stuff. All right. My number 3 spot goes to Denny's. I feel like we haven't been there in a while, but Kyle, you stayed for the Denny's dinner after our night out on Saturday. How was it?
It was great. I don't remember what I had at 5 a.m. So of course I don't remember much of it. I do remember there was a cute golf girl there, so that was pretty cool. But you know what I had? I had the sampler. I had the sampler meal, lots of mozzarella sticks. That's all I remember from it, actually. But
It was girls and mozzarella sticks.
yeah, when's the last time you guys been to Denny's? Right? It's been a long time, man. Yeah, I didn't know Denny's was. Shout out to Denny's for being
It's
in
good.
Still.
It's good.
Yeah.
Dude, it's a vet. It's making the veteran minimum, but it's still putting up numbers night in and night out. Like shout out to fucking Denny's. Okay, my number 2 spot. I'm actually going to give it to an actual athlete, Javon Holland. I think he deserves a big shout out again for obvious reasons. The sensational pick 6 that he had against the Jet, but I also wanted to call him out because I found out that he has a Finsta, I think is what the kids call it, on his Instagram.
Really?
Yeah, where he literally just like shitposts all day.
What a king.
And I was like, you know what, dude? Like, shout out to you for being the best safety in the league. And then also finding the time to shitpost on your Instagram. Like, I respect that. So big shout out to him.
Dude, being a safety is like the best football position. I feel like it's just swag.
You think so?
It is a fun one,
It's
man.
fun.
It
It's
is.
especially fun in flag football.
Yeah.
I know that.
Now, I would think tackles even better. You just get to run around and
Yeah, just
Yeah.
like run around,
Yeah.
hit,
Yeah.
like
especially if you're a psychopath like Javon Holland.
Yeah,
Just
dude.
yeah. CTE does not exist in his mind.
no, dude. That guy's bulletproof.
No, he probably already got CTE, so he just doesn't realize that's an issue. But it's it seems fun. Seems like he's having a good time.
You have
He's having
CTE,
fun.
just start sports betting now, and then you can just after this stress issue.
Dude, I think you just figured out like Alzheimer's and CTE. Like, if it affects you enough to the point that you forget you have it, then it's like, oh, you don't have it anymore. Like,
Ignorance is bliss. Man.
Yeah.
Ignorance is bliss. Let me tell you. If you place a bet and you never check if you won that bet,
yeah,
did you win? I don't know. Who knows?
exactly. Like, the loss doesn't materialize until you actually check.
That's exactly. That's what I feel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Logic, man.
Dude, and like with today's environments, if you say like, oh, I identify myself as someone that won that bet, like, dude, if anyone says other, like, no, you actually lost it, you're just like, no, I think you're discriminating me.
I do think Bovada feels a little differently. Not that I would know. But I would assume that, they do feel, a little bit more realistic about it. Not to say their feelings are realistic.
Thank you for acknowledging my feelings. Again, we are a very inclusive podcast here. We include gingers and, we include feelings. So thank you, Kyle.
No problem.
You're a good friend.
Not that I have those.
All right. And to wrap up today's episode, I'm going to give my number 1 spot to a recent sleeper, Regatta. You know what? This was my second time ever going there. And I want to give a big shout out to them because they are the spiritual successor to Riverside, who is the spiritual successor to Wharf. Okay. And I don't know what Miami's doing with these iterations of like nautical themed restaurants, but there's obviously a formula there that is clearly working. And again, I feel like there was a big gap in the nightlife when we lost Wharf and then we got Riverside and then obviously we lost Riverside. So shout out to Regatta for really picking up the pieces. It's fucking lit. It's still extremely expensive, but the music's really good. The drinks are not reasonably priced. They are not reasonably priced, but it's really fun. All right, so clearly we're getting to the end of the episode because I am tripping on my own words. But there you have it. Top 5 athletes of the week. Great episode, boys. Big shout out.
Best episode ever.
Big shout out, Law Dog. Law Demon.
Law Demon.
Okay. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you guys next week for episode 11.
Art Basel.
Art Basel.
Is it next week?
Yes. Holy shit.
Yeah.
How long was it?